Have you ever felt like people only remember you when they need something? Like you're always the one giving, helping, adjusting, bending. But when it's your turn to fall, your turn to need, your turn to be heard, suddenly the world disappears. Have you ever asked yourself quietly, why does everyone treat me like I don't matter? Why does no one value me, even when I give everything? If you've ever felt that pain, then the story you're about to hear will feel like someone took your heart, opened it, and wrote these words directly inside it. Once, in a dusty little village surrounded by golden wheat fields and narrow stone paths, there lived a young man named Elias Reed. Elias was kind, too kind. He helped everyone, every time. If an old man needed water, Elias fetched it. If a neighbor wanted heavy sacks lifted, Elias carried them. If children wanted help fixing toys, Elias repaired them patiently. But people didn't value him. They used him. They enjoyed his kindness, but never respected him for it. When villagers gathered to celebrate special festivals, Elias was always left at the edge of the crowd. When decisions were made, no one asked for his opinion. When he tried speaking, people smiled politely and turned away. To them, Elias was the extra person, always there, always available, always taken for granted. One hot afternoon, Elias was repairing the fence of a farmer who had promised him lunch in return. But as soon as the fence was fixed, the farmer simply said, "Good, good," and walked inside without offering anything. Elias stood alone in the sun, sweat dripping down his neck, his stomach empty, and his heart even emptier. As he walked back toward the village well, he whispered to himself, "Why does no one value me? Why do I feel invisible? What am I doing wrong?" That evening, the sun dipped low, turning the fields orange and the village quiet. Elias sat near the old well, staring into the water. His reflection looked tired, lost. That is when he heard the soft sound of footsteps behind him. A tall man wearing desert travel clothes, a long dusty cloak, and boots worn by miles of walking stood there. He had calm eyes, like someone who had seen the world and understood its secrets. "You look heavy," the stranger said. Elias blinked. "Heavy? Not here." The stranger touched Elias's shoulder. "But here." He placed a hand gently on his chest. Elias felt something crack inside him. "You don't know me," he whispered. The traveler smiled faintly. "Son, I've met thousands of people in hundreds of villages. And people who sit beside quiet wells at sunset always carry the same wound. They give too much and are valued too little." Elias felt his breath stop. How do you know?" The traveler sat beside him, placing his large travel bag on the ground. "My name is Kale," he said. "I travel with the desert caravans. I trade, I watch, I learn. And in my journeys, I've discovered something most people never understand." Elias leaned forward. "What is that?" Kale looked at the horizon where the last rays of sunlight glowed like fading gold. "Value," he said slowly, "is not something you get from others. It's something you build within yourself. And the world simply reflects it back." Elias shook his head. "But I try so hard. I help everyone. I never refuse anyone. Still, no one values me." Kale's eyes softened with understanding. "That," he said, "is your mistake." "My mistake?" Elias whispered. "Yes," Kale replied gently. "Because people don't value what is always available. People don't respect what never says no. And people never admire what doesn't admire itself." Elias felt the wind shift, almost as if the world was listening. Kale then said the words that would change Elias's life forever. "There are 5 silent rules in this world. Learn them, and people will value you without you asking, without you demanding, without you saying a single word." Elias's heart thumped. 5 rules, Kale nodded. "Before I teach you," he said, "I need you to understand something important." He pointed toward the quiet village street where lamps were being lit in the houses. "People treat you the way you teach them to treat you. You have taught them that your time is cheap. You have taught them that your effort is free. You have taught them that you don't value yourself. So why should they?" Elias felt a sting in his chest, but it was not painful, it was awakening. "What are these rules?" Elias asked softly. Kale took a slow breath, as if choosing each word carefully. "I will tell you," he said. "But first, look at yourself honestly. Are you ready to stop being the extra person? Are you ready to stop giving your value away for free? Are you ready to become someone people notice, someone people respect, someone people value?" Elias swallowed hard. His voice was quiet, but steady. "Yes," he said. "I'm ready." Kale smiled. a knowing, wise smile. Then listen, he whispered. For these 5 rules will rebuild you from the inside. And under the dim blue evening sky, beside the old village well, the desert traveler began to reveal the first silent rule of value, a rule that would transform Elias in ways he had never imagined. Cale leaned back slightly and spoke in a calm, steady voice. The first rule, he said, is the rule of your time. When your time is free, you are cheap. When your time is valued, you become valuable. Elias frowned slightly. But how do I value my time? Cale smiled. By not giving it to everyone. By not dropping everything the moment someone snaps their fingers. By not saying yes when your heart is screaming no. Elias lowered his eyes. He realized he had been doing exactly that, giving his time away like it was endless. Cale continued. From tomorrow, when someone asks for help, don't refuse, but don't jump. Say, let me finish what I'm doing. Say, give me a moment. Say, I'll see if I can. You don't owe the world your immediate obedience. Elias listened as if his entire life depended on these words. When you stop rushing for others, Cale said, people stop rushing past your worth. A strange warmth spread through Elias's chest. For the first time, he felt he understood the problem. Cale raised one finger. The second rule, he said, is the rule of your boundaries. Elias shifted. Boundaries? Yes, Cale nodded. When you allow people to cross your limits, they will never respect you. You must show them where your line is. If someone insults you, stay silent, but walk away. If someone uses you, stop giving. If someone speaks over you, pause and look them in the eyes. Teach people how to treat you. Elias felt this one deeply. He had allowed everyone to cross every line because he thought kindness meant accepting everything. Cale's voice was firm but gentle. Kindness without boundaries is slavery, Elias. The words hit him harder than anything he had heard before. Cale lifted a third finger. The third rule, he said, is the rule of your presence. Don't shrink. Don't bend yourself small. Stand tall. Breathe deeply, move calmly. Cale demonstrated, sitting upright, shoulders open, chin lifted slightly, eyes steady. He didn't speak loudly. He didn't make any effort. But he felt powerful. When your body says you're strong, Cale explained, people believe it before you ever speak. Elias tried sitting the same way. His breath steadied. His spine straightened. It felt unfamiliar, but right. Cale smiled approvingly. The fourth rule, he said softly, is the rule of selective giving. Elias blinked. Selective? Yes, Cale said. Give, but not to everyone. Help, but not always. Be kind, but choose where, when, and to whom. Elias didn't understand. Cale explained. When gold is rare, people guard it. When water is everywhere, people waste it. Elias bit his lip. He had been water his entire life. Available, abundant, easy to take, easy to forget. Make your kindness rare, Cale said. Make your help meaningful. When you stop giving to everyone, people cherish the moments you give. Elias felt something loosen in his heart, a knot that had been there for years. Cale lifted his final finger. And the fifth rule, the most powerful rule of all, he said quietly. The rule of silent self-respect. Elias leaned in. Silent? Yes, Cale nodded. Self-respect is not spoken. It is felt. You don't beg for value. You don't demand appreciation. You don't chase people. You don't prove yourself to anyone. Cale placed a hand on Elias's shoulder. When you respect yourself, the world has no choice but to follow. The wind rustled through the trees. The lamps in the village flickered softly, casting warm shadows on the ground. Elias felt as if the village itself was listening. Cale stood up, slinging his heavy travel bag over his shoulder. I've given you the rules, he said softly. Now you must give yourself the courage to live them. Elias rose to his feet. Well, will I see you again? Cale smiled. Perhaps, but you won't need me again. And with that, he walked into the fading night, his footsteps echoing lightly on the old stone path until they vanished completely. The next morning, the village awoke to a slightly different Elias. He didn't rush out of his house. He didn't jump at the first request. He didn't apologize for existing. He walked calmly, stood straight, and carried a quiet strength that people noticed instantly. When the baker asked him to help carry sacks immediately, Elias said gently, I'll help once I finish my own work. The baker blinked in surprise, but nodded respectfully. When children shouted his name to fix a broken toy, he smiled. Later, he said softly, "Not now." The children didn't pout. They waited. When a neighbor tried to cut in while Elias was speaking, Elias calmly paused, raised his eyes, and looked at the man steadily until he fell silent. People noticed. People paused. People adjusted. People changed. Not because Elias demanded respect, but because he carried himself like someone who already had it. Within weeks, the entire village began valuing him in ways he had never experienced. They asked for his opinion. They waited for his decisions. They respected his time. They respected his silence. They respected his presence. One evening, as Elias stood near the old well where everything had begun, he smiled quietly at his reflection in the water. He understood now. People hadn't changed. He had. And when he changed the way he valued himself, the world changed the way it valued him. The same people who once ignored him now waited for him to speak. All because of 5 silent rules and the courage to finally live by them.